So we've just finished up our paper maquettes, which are models for how something might work. These were mine for my glasses. How did yours turn out?
Turned out good. I only ended up putting feathers on one side of it, just for time's sake. But I'm really happy with how the shape turned out, and it's giving me the strong wings feeling.
Sometimes all you need is the idea. It's like a sketch. You don't need to have a totally completed maquette. As long as you're far enough along where you're pretty sure that your idea will work. What I like about yours is how you arranged your leaves. It would be really nice to layer up the felt pieces to feel like the feathers.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into our last part where we're going to try to make a more durable accessory that we can use over and over again. And I was thinking about those costumes that you wear. Do you have a favorite costume?
Yeah, along with the Ali pants that are just so recognizable and so fun to wear, one of my favorite costumes was when we did Romeo and Juliet, Macmillan's Romeo and Juliet. They were just these really cool tunics. Romeo, Benvolio, and Mercutio, we all had these really cool tunics that kind of reminded me of Greek gods, as to where we had like fake pecs and abs on the front of it, but then at the same time they were like light blue and yellow, and I really liked those costumes.
So color is very important in a costume.
Yeah.
Why?
Like, for instance, in Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt's always in black and red, and I think you can attribute that to his evilness or his darkness, whereas Romeo is in light blue and upbeat. Oh, and then in the romantic pause with Juliet, they're in all white, which I'd have to assume signifies pureness. And so yeah, it's definitely a factor. One that I haven't really thought about too much, but it's there.
It sets the mood.
Yeah.
And I imagine it also needs to be visible from far away.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how to put together our final product. Now, if you were going to make a real one this side, I think you would need a lot more fabric than I brought.
Yeah.
But we're still going to do a small version. Maybe you have a doll or a stuffed animal. You could put that on.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is take a look at your maquette and go through and pick your colors. We have a small selection today. Maybe you want to make it all out of one color. Maybe you want to combine colors and see which one will work best for your project. I love blue and I have blue eyes, so I think I'm going to make mine mostly out of blue. You're still going to need a band, so I'm going to cut a small rectangle, very skinny rectangle, to make my bands. But I'm doing this on my glasses, so they don't have to be very big. I can get 2 bands out of my piece here. And we still need our base shape of the wings. You could use your maquette to help you trace your size, like a tracer, or you can freehand it again. And I want it to be symmetrical, so just like when I was cutting on the paper, I'm still going to fold my fabric. If you want to sketch it out, you can, or I can line up my maquette and just cut around my maquette on the fold. What color are you using for your base?
I'm actually going with black, not to signify darkness or anything. I just think it'll be really cool with the contrasting white feathers on it.
High contrast will make it visible from far away.
Yeah.
So I used my maquette to get the basic size I need. So I like my basic shape, but I think I want to give a little decoration to the edge. I really liked your spiky edge that you did on yours.
Yeah, I'm changing to pink because I realized I could not trace on black.
You could trace on black if you had chalk.
Yeah, chalk or something.
Yeah. So there's my felt shape. Now, felt doesn't hold a fold as easily as paper does. So when I made my first version, I thought it would be fun to make layers, kind of like how you layered your feathers on yours. I think I might want to have some big shapes and some small shapes. So I'm going to add one more, and maybe in white. So you can either use the first piece as a tracer or just make a separate one. I'm going to freehand cut. And like compare them, do like how they fit together. Do you need to trim anything? And if you wanted to make a lot of something, you can stack things up, make several layers, and cut them all at the same time. So those two shapes look nice together, a smaller round one and a larger pointier one. Looks a little like a butterfly right now because of the size. And I think I want to add one more color. I'll make like a single feather, I think. You can fringe the felt just like we fringed the paper, just cutting into the sides. It's very feathery. You could play with which direction things are going in. Like maybe I want to have that go up. So I'm going to stack up all of my pieces so that they intersect and stack up at one point, so I can sew through that one point to attach it to my band. Do you have the base shape? You're making some interesting cuts.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
So you could hot glue everything together if you want to go fast, and if you don't have needle and thread. Hot glue will work too, or craft glue, fabric glue. But I'm a fiber artist, I like to sew, so I'm going to use a needle and thread. When I cut my thread, I usually cut an arm's length of thread. Even if I have to stitch a little bit, I'm still going to have a whole arm's length. And when I thread my needle, I pull the tip down between my thumb and my forefinger, and then put the eye of the needle right on top and slide through. You can get a needle threader if you have trouble. I'm going to double my thread and then tie a knot at the very bottom. When I tie knots, I hold the needle in one hand and the thread in the other. I cross them over, wrap my needle, hold the wraps, and then pull through. The knot lands at the very bottom. So I'm ready to assemble everything. I need to create the base ring, my band. So I'm going to start on the underneath side and poke up through the layered fabric, and then poke down and scoop up, and then poke down again. So just those 2 stitches I made are holding that together, and it's still pretty strong. You can make it even stronger by going back in the other direction. So go poke down, poke up, and pull through. Poke down and up. And I'm going to keep this attached. I'm not going to end my thread because now that I have my band all sewn up, I'm ready to attach all of my wings. So I'm going to figure out where is that going to land. And I'm just going to stick my needle up through all the middle. So it's through all of those layers right now. And pull through. And then tighten up so the band is nice and tight against all of the fabric. Now I'll take a stitch and poke down through all of the layers. So when you're finished sewing the band together, your thread should still be attached, and you're going to poke up through all the layers of the felt. Pull through and settle the layers close to your band, nice and tight. Then poke down through all the layers and through the band, and pull through. And we can do this several times to make it secure. Have you ever done any sewing before?
Yeah, we actually have to sew our ballet shoes quite often. I mean, males less than females definitely, because point shoes, we say they die, but basically they have no firmness left, so it bends over further than it's supposed to. So girls ultimately do a lot more sewing than we do, but yeah, it's definitely something I've done since I was a kid. But I think I'm gonna hot glue because I have a lot of feathers to put on once I finish my ring.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So you've sewn your band.
Yeah.
And if you don't have sewing needles and threads and you have glue, hot glue or craft glue will work really well, especially if you have a lot to put on your piece. So you said you started dancing when you were a kid?
Yeah, I started when I was around 10. I was playing soccer, and my mom enrolled my sister in a ballet studio, and they offered this really great boys program. So I signed on, and I went on Fridays, and it was just a class of boys, which is nice when you're younger, when you're kind of like, oh, this is only for girls, you know. And yeah, I mean, you definitely have to start young because your body can only take so long once you become a professional. But yeah.
I started thinking I was an artist at about the same age, and I started taking art classes. I didn't know about Fleisher back then, unfortunately, but when my daughter was about that age, she started coming here to Fleisher and taking classes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, start young, and then you never know where your creativity is going to take you. I feel like accessories would have some shininess to them. Do you have shiny things on your costumes?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of jewels in a lot of ballets that come up, and women's headpieces, and yeah, there's a lot of shine.
So I brought along some beads, and you have a container too. So I feel like right here in the middle would be a really great place for a bead. So maybe test out a few, what they look like. Do they match up with your idea of what the piece is supposed to be? Well, I like that little silver one I have. Hopefully this fits on my needle. If you want, you could also hot glue or craft glue beads and sequins just to give your accessory a little bit of shininess to catch the light and make it look exciting. So I just put my needle through the bead, and then I went back down through the fabric. You can do that 2 times to make sure it's really secure. So through the bead and then down back through the fabric. When you're done sewing everything together, on the back side, you want to slide the needle through all of your stitches. Just through the felt, through the stitches. Give it a nice strong tug, and then you can clip it off. It's not a a lot of shine, but I just put that little silver bead on there and I feel like it's just enough to catch a little sparkle. So my little accessory is complete. I made the band big enough. I could wear this as a little finger decoration, but it really was supposed to go on my glasses. Let's see if it worked as well as the paper ones. I think I might start a new fashion. Accessorize your glasses.
And it's one of the few things that's seen on the face in this mask-worn
Right.
world we're in.
Make it look exciting. So you're layering up your feathers with the glue gun? How's that
I'm
working out?
embellishing with I'm making a spine down the middle right now.
Right, you were talking about the strength
Yeah.
and that back.
And I wanted clear separation from either side.
That makes a lot of sense. So I noticed you're using a hot glue gun to attach your pieces, so it's fast. Be
Maybe
careful. You just make sure you don't touch the point because you don't want to burn your fingers, and try not to touch the hot glue while it's still really hot. Drop the bead in. Don't get too close until it's cooled down. And we're using a few things like scissors and needles that are a little bit sharp. So if you are a little younger and you need a grown-up for some help, make sure you ask a grown-up to help you out with those final details. So I've just finished mine up, but we're gonna give Peter a few more moments because he's got a really beautiful design happening. We've gone through a whole process of brainstorming and planning something out, practicing, which I'm sure is very important in the dance world as well, and then created our final products, which is like the performance that you have. Can we see what you've made too?
Yes. This is my draft. And then in felt, I did a lot of layering of the feathers because I think in the wild that's more what you would see, and that's how I see wings a bit more. And I put a spine down the middle because I think a nice strong spine to separate the wings is very important, along with just back strength in general. Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I think the layering was really cool, and the shape stayed generally clear, though I lost some of the smaller cuts, but I'm happy with it.
I bet if that was the full size, we would see some of that detail from the front.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So when we're finished in artwork, it's good to reflect and critique and think about, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve? So as we try these things on, you can imagine your hand as your body and think about, how does it feel to wear this? Does it change how you move? When I'm wearing my ring, I feel like I want to be more elegant and articulate with my hands. And with this on my side, I feel like everyone must be looking at me because it's a little bit shiny and very different. So you could become the center of attention, maybe. So how would you say your design relates back to the dreams that you wrote about at the beginning?
Well, I talked about performing, and if you had wings on your back, it would be a performance constantly. You know, like what you said, you'd be the center of attention, and you just walk so proudly and show off, and big broad back because you wouldn't want your wings to be falling down or anything. And I guess I wrote freedom, and yeah, if I had wings on my back, I could just fly away and do what I wanted. But I think it'd be pretty cool just to have two massive wings on your back and just strutting down the hall with them.
I found it really interesting that your two sides of your wings are different and show some contrast. Can you talk a little bit more about your design?
Yeah, relating it back to dancing and ballet, you start with only a certain amount of knowledge and understanding and tools, for a better word. And this is how you would start, and you have to keep adding layers and layers and learning more and more until you eventually have your full set of wings.
I feel like with my eye piece here, when you're starting off as an artist, you might not know how to do everything, but your vision will grow and get bigger and more expansive. Thank you so much for joining me today and experimenting with our accessories. I hope they make you feel like moving, feel like flying. Maybe you could give us a little more motion as a send out.
More pose.
Pose with your accessories.